So, what's up everybody, I'm Jarmo. I will show you some basic stuff how to build kaizo levels. You need some knowledge of the game before watching that. I'm just showing some errors and some general building stuff I've seen. I've built like 50 to 60 levels, so I'm kinda experienced, but not with every tech and everything, so I just scratched the surface right here. We start with SMB1. I've only done like maybe 2-3 SMB1 levels with kaizo stuff, so that's not gonna be as in depth. I just want to show you some stuff here. So if you want to do shell jumping in SMB1, you can do like a setup like this, and it's basically like automatic. You just come over here from here and just run against the shell, and oops, did this one too low. There, and we bounce against the wall and you do a shell jump. You can include this trick just in levels to make them look cool or something. It's like basically just hold right and run. If you want to do the harder shell jump, I'm not sure I can put it up right here. You can put like a shell like this or on a rail or something, and then you have to hit it at the right angle like that. And now, because you have to use like helmets, I will show you after that how you can avoid using helmets. But if you use helmets and you don't want to put it on, the easy fix for that is just take an amiibo you like, and when you have an amiibo costume, there's no way you can put on a helmet. If you use an amiibo in a level, just maybe make sure at the end of the level you can do like an amiibo check. Just put a block like that, and you can only break that one if you have the costume or if you're big Mario. Also in this tutorial I'm not gonna go into like power-ups. I will just show you basic stuff like that. If you have specific questions about power-ups and other things, I can do that in a later video if you like that. Now, you can also do a shell jump like that. We have here a mole and then a shell on top of it, and it will fall down like that. I will later explain why you use a mole in here, not something else. And then you just need to hit it on the left or the right, and the shell goes accordingly. If you put it left, zack, and then you can jump on the shell again. Also need some timing. You can go to the left like that. Easy as that. You can use that setup, and munches just to stabilize it. Then you can also use like maybe a flying Koopa, Red Koopa, so you can first off destroy his wings and then jump off him again and do the shell thing. So he goes down, jump off him again, and like that. Okay, now you can also use like in SMB1, you can use Goombas for stuff like that. You bounce off, and you see I put two setups here. I have the saw, and behind that the no block. The no block is a really big friend in SMB1. You can make cool stuff with bouncing shell of no blocks, because you can throw stuff and can hold stuff. You can use those to make stuff look cool. And if you use no blocks or the music blocks, they are the same. Just take one and shake it. Me personally, I like to use music blocks because they make a cool sound when you use them. When you use a spring, you can see that the player can see that you use the spring, and he knows that the Goomba will bounce up. That will be an advantage for the player if he plays it blind or something, so he knows what's up. The only difference is you have to put a block beyond that spring, otherwise it will just fall into the void. So then what we got left here, I covered all of that. As I said, it's only like basic coverage. You can also use like beetles and stuff in SMB1 really, or in any style when they are on top. If you're near them, they fall down and you can jump on them. You can also use big ones. And what's cool in SMB1 is you can't grab items, so you can hold run and like do stuff with bombs and push them in directions. Or also use like, you can also do like a beetle and push them to the side, hit them with no block or something. Now something you have to be careful about is, of course, you always have spikes under here, so you can't stand on that, and you can use like hidden blocks above it, so you have to make sure you hit the shell, otherwise you will be down here and die like that. Now the boot is pretty OP. If you want to use the boot, that's just a simple way to get the Goomba out of the boot. There's way better setups like that. For that you can use a power or anything. And if he's out of the boot, you just have to be careful. The thing is OP as hell. You can go on spikes, everything. You can also run against spikes and munches. You won't take damage. You can jump on Podoboos, on ghosts, everything. So it's even better than Yoshi. You can destroy the boot, for example, when you use the burner or the fire sticks when you run into them. These two down here, you can use that. Only be careful with fire sticks, they are on a global timer, which means when you start your level, they start rotating. They don't load while you approach them, so they are on a global timer. So 40 seconds in, it doesn't matter where you are, the fire bar always goes in the same direction. Also the boot, I'm not sure if I can pull it off right here. He has like this little hop animation, so you can like do a delayed jump kind of. You see where Mario is right here, he jumps like later, so be careful of that. Also when you use falling platforms, when you make movements on it, you like hop. You see the hopping, and then you get off it like that, and then you lose the platform, so be careful of that. Now that's only the SMB1 stuff I want to cover for now. If you have more questions, just let me know. Now for SMW. First of all, I will show you some shell stuff. So be careful about what shell you use. When you use a beetle and you jump on it, nothing comes out. You can use just a beetle, do the trick. So it's like good shell to use, or beetle. The beetle is good to use because you can just, it's like a helmet. You can't really do much with it. Now when you use the Koopa, be careful of the little Koopaling. You can do stuff like throw the shell up, jump on in, and do spin drop, and get much more height, get like 1 or 2 blocks more height than when you would use just a normal shell jump. So always be careful about the Koopaling. Also, when the Koopaling like goes somewhere and you want to pick something up, sometimes it destroys it because it also has the hitbox. So always be careful when using Koopas instead of beetles. Now I see I placed them on munchers. If you want to pick them up and not be worried about the muncher, just put a cloud or a semi-solid behind it and you can just walk on it. Now many different people make the mistake or just have the playstyle of when they do a shell jump. I also used to do that. They release jump button, and so you don't get enough height. So you see, when I release jump button, I can't get up there. When I hold the jump button, I can get up there easily. Okay, so this is only a problem like that if you build a level with a shell jump in it. You have to, and like a basic setup like that, you have to make sure you can't get up there with max momentum jump like that. Now if you put it at that height, it doesn't matter if you do a small shell jump or a big shell jump, you always get to clear the gap. So it's it doesn't matter if you use the big or the small shell jump, so you make the map for both players. Both players can play them. Okay, so you could use the high one, so only the players that can, when you build it up again, only the players that do high shell jumps can use it. So, but you can also do like small. Sometimes when you run into levels, you go like that, and if you don't release jump button and want to do a shell jump, oops, that was a little too early release. You just run, and then the shell goes over the obstacle and you just run into and think what is going on. So here the creator did like a smaller shell jump, so you need to release the shell way early and jump button to make that specific jump. When using like beetles or all of the shells, be always careful about how you grab them. If Mario is like 1 block away and lands besides the beetle, he can't grab it, even though you press the run button. So if I land like that, maybe I can replicate it right here. You like can't grab the beetle because you land at a specific position. You have to land on top of it, like that, or when you approach them from farther away, like that, you can also grab it. So be careful of that when you do like a max jump and you want to grab the beetle and land like right here. Don't do that, so because you kick them most of the time. It's really aggravating when you see that in levels. Now what do I see? Now how most players give player shell is like this setup. You have the muncher, you have the beetle, and you have the shellmet on top. Now this setup is kind of bad because of this thing. When you approach it, you first pick up the shellmet, and then you jump off the beetle. And when you come like, maybe I can show you here. When you come on an off angle, as when you approach it like that. Wait. When you approach it straight like that, it's no problem. But if you turn around in the air or make adjustments, Mario turns around, so he picks up the shell, then kills the beetle below it before jumping on that beetle. So maybe I can show you. No. Give it one more try. No, I can't. I'm coming too high on it, but trust me, it happens a lot in levels. So the better setup is to use it with a mole like that if you want to give the player a beetle helmet. So use the mole below, because the mole has a smaller hitbox or different hitbox. You always jump first on the mole before like killing the mole with the shell in the hand. So you can make adjustments. You can just grab the beetle. So please use this setup, moles instead of beetles. You also can do something like that, where you approach a shell from above and the thing you want to jump off is below that. The only thing you have to be careful about is the bottom thing is moving in different heights, so it makes the height of the shell jump different for the next section. So be careful of that. Now, there is one trick in Mario Maker if you don't want to use beetles, because beetles always like tough. You can put it on as a shellmet and then cheese a lot of things. And there's many different ways. You can like even put it on in the air if you like drop it at the right height, or I don't know if I can do it like right here. You can do a late midair and put on the helmet as well. Okay, almost. So there's many different ways. You can throw it late against the wall, like a late shell jump, and put it on. So if you want to avoid using beetles, you can explode shells, and this is the simplest setup for this. Is like this: you use a block, a bomb, and a flying block, and the Koopa or whatever you want on top. It doesn't matter which one you use, the beetle, the spiny, or the green one, for this specific setup. I will talk about the spiny a bit later. So then the shell explodes and it goes to the left. Now, why is this setup good? Because all of the things, the flying block and the bomb are on the same like line. So they spawn when you come from the right. When you come from the left, you spawn the items on the screen. So you spawn them all simultaneously, and always this will happen. And then you get like an upside down Koopa shell, like that. Now, what you want to avoid is putting a block right over the Koopa, because then the shell gets killed. You can use two above it, that's fine. The shell will just bounce lower. The setup is also cool or fine, because you don't have like leftover rails or something. It's pretty clean. Now, if you want to do this is though instantly, and sometimes you want to grab a shell later, so you can do it on a timer, and you can use a setup like that. Now you have to use those two blocks on the side, because otherwise the bomb will run off the edge. So you've put these blocks so the bomb gets trapped. And also here I use the red Koopa because like beetles and stuff, and the green one they just run off, and the red ones they stay on this one stone block. Now you can use like, what I see all of the time is like doing a muncher on that. Then the block explodes, you get the thing, and then the muncher goes on, or even you can make it end there, and then the muncher falls off, and the muncher will not get on any ground other than other rails. When there is a rail somewhere in his fell, then you he will get on that rail and move along. So better for that, I always use like stone blocks, because of the simple reason that the stone block explodes as well, so you don't have this problem of the leftover muncher. Now, many people use setups like this. Also, you can vary the setup. Now, look at this. The shell goes to the left, and when you mess with the timings, it depends where the Koopa walks, if it goes left and right. You can always also put it like one up there, then it goes to the right, because it took some time to get on the stone block and start walking. Now, the problem with setups like this I have here, when you have this one is also good because it's always all in one line. In this one, the muncher will spawn later depending on how fast you will scroll the screen, so how fast you will approach them. So there, maybe this first part gets spawned, but it takes some time, and then the muncher gets spawned, or the stone block for that matter. And the problem is, you cannot be 100% sure if the Koopa will fall to the left or to the right, or when it will fall, and stuff like that. Only thing to prevent it is when you use auto scroller, so the screen scrolls the same time every time, so you can do that like that. Or if you approach them at a constant speed, like a max speed, then you can also use setups like these. But otherwise, I would not recommend using stuff like that for building kaizo levels, when you have no auto scroller and no constant speed, because then you don't know where the shell is gonna land. So I see I played many levels where you have setups like this. You get to the last jump, the Koopa just falls to the left of you, you think, where's my shell, and you just die. And it's not your fault, it's just the creator's fault, simply as that. If you wanna like move a Koopa shell when it goes down, you can use like setup like that. You can use a muncher, stone block, anything, so the Koopa one falls, and you wanna move it to the side or something, so you can grab it for a shell evader or anything. Now, I talked about that, talked about shell. So this one is very important now. I simply made the video for the shell thing. I see many shell maps with very weird setups. Now, a small problem, when you use spiny shells, they are also like, you can turn them upside down and grab them, but there is an issue. I'm not sure what the logistic of it is, but when the shell comes from top, sometimes like the spiny shell kills you, because like, I don't know why, but it just sometimes happens. So when you can avoid maybe using spiny shells as well, when they come from the top, do that. Now I think that's all of the shell stuff I want to talk about. Yeah. Okay, now for spring. Spring is pretty easy. Of course you can do like small spring jumps like that, but spring jump is like you have to release jump button just in the nature of the trick, so almost all the people do it the same way. Now if you want to use double spring setup, just make sure you have to use it. Oops. Wait. You cannot cheese it by like jumping on the first spring, then do a spring jump and then get up. So you have to use the proper setup when throwing the first one up like that. No, I just missed it. But make sure of the height. There's just some things. I see double spring setups with this height, and then they just do some more than a usual spring jump, and you can just jump on that and makes it pretty easy. Now, that's as far as I want to go with springs. As I told you, if you have more specific questions about stuff, this video is already like 20 minutes long, so just let me know. Now, for the bombs, you can use setups like that where the bomb moves. Problem is you have to hit it on the top, so when you hit it down there, you just miss it. You can also use it like that, always 2 blocks away for an easy spring ladder. Also, bomb's biggest friend, note block. You can bounce off them just like that. Also, I hit it behind that saw, so you can't jump on it. Now, pause. Same problem with pause. You may have played many POW levels where you just get stopped instantly from the POW. That just happens when you are either too close to the POW when you want to grab it, like I showed you with the shell before, or you didn't like hold the run button. So if you do setups like that, make sure the player can come from here and take the POW from there, so he doesn't jump like really near the POW and get stopped by it. Also, when you want to do stuff by killing enemies, make sure you can't cheese it with flying pows. Wait. Make sure you can't cheese it by just the thwomp. Oops. The thwomp running into the pow like that. So you can just go beneath it and don't even have to throw it. That's as far as I want to go with POWs. It's really I could do in-depth for POW, but it's just the basics, and the most problem is like this. So if you can avoid that, it's you already have made a good POW level. Now with Yoshi, Yoshi's kind of a pain to deal with because of the DGs. It's not as bad as the boot because you can't go on Porobos or on the ghosts and stuff. You can just use a simple setup like that. You put a muncher and a ghost on top of it, and Yoshi can't jump on it. I mostly use this setup for the cheesing Yoshi stuff. And Yoshi can normally walk on spikes, no problem. Now, most people use hidden blocks to cheese stuff that you can't just walk on the spikes. Problem is, you use 2 rows because Mario has 2 block height with the Yoshi, and some maps have issues that when you can't land on top of the Koopa instead of the side of the Koopa, you still activate the hidden block. I try to show you that. You see that? I hit the Koopa but still hit the hidden block. So you need to try or make sure to make consistent setups that you hit the Koopa on top of it, or you can make little adjustments that you can hit on top of it so this doesn't happen. So for here, for example, I may have to do like a really far edge jump like that, and then it works fine. So that's gonna be it for now for this. SMB3 is basically like you can use all these tips I told you about this in SMB3 as well for shells and stuff. It's just no spin jumping mechanic, you know about that. So basically it's like same as SMW with some restrictions, no up throws, no spin jumps. But yeah. If you want to do aesthetic stuff, if you just some small things, if you use semi-solids, the spikes and the semi-solids on the same level, you still die on it. But use munchers. Oops. If you use munchers, you can. Oh, there's ground beneath. So you can still stand on that. So I see some people using this, for example, and they think you can't stand on the muncher, but in reality you can just stand here. Now for NSMBU, if you want the NSMBU tutorial, just let me know. I know I rambled a lot on this thing, but I only basically covered the basics of the thing. If you have any question, you can let me know, so I can make more videos like in-depth spring tricks or spring setups, or in-depth POW or bomber. What you should take out of this video is the shell things and the spawning of shells and the height of your shell jumps. That's the most important. And for NSMBU there are many different like setups or different tricks for NSMBU, so I don't want to make a video right now for that for Kaizo. If you want an NSMBU one, just let me know in the comments, and I can do one specifically for NSMBU, but because there are like duck jumping, twirl and stuff, so many different mechanics that would go too far for this video. So thanks for watching, and yeah, hope you enjoyed.